Manchester United's hierarchy admit they are not happy with the poor start to the season. Manchester United could be also looking at 3 possible January exits as we are linked with more youth signings. We've got an update on Kone and Obi Martin that's exciting. Manchester United have been watching Napoli, but who are they linked with there? We've got links with Lakiba, and Xavi has been approached by INEOS for the manager position. All this plus the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the INEOS story. So Manchester United Chiefs have admitted they are not happy with the club's poor start to the season under head coach Erik ten Hag at a recent fan forum meeting. Toby Craig, who joined from Chelsea over the summer, said, "Clearly we are not happy with the men's first team start to the season and the results are not where we want to be. There is a huge amount of change going on. We believe we came out of the summer transfer window with a strong squad, but it is one that is still evolving with a number of young players who will keep getting better. So there have been changes on the pitch, but also off the pitch, and with Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox joining the club." So the kind of first suggestion is that obviously admitting that they're not happy with the start of the season, which, you know, who is, let's be frank. I know, and we know that INEOS would not be happy with what's going on and the position we're in at the moment, but also kind of suggesting that they're still kind of comfortable at the moment because they've signed a lot of young players, plus there's been so much change going on behind the scenes, which might explain why, you know, they're being a bit patient with Ten Hag. Which is probably fair, to be honest with you. But then also United's chief operating officer Colette Roach also admitted it has been a difficult start to the season. On the pitch, you will all be well aware that it has been a difficult start to the season for the men's first team, Roach said, but everyone at Carrington is working hard to put things back on track with 3/4 of the season still to go. Off the pitch, you'll know that we have been through a period of restoration and have seen us say farewell to approximately 250 colleagues. That's been a difficult process, but we would have not done it if we did not feel it was necessary. The truth about that, even though we are generating record revenues, which are among the highest in European football, we have still been losing money. That is not a sustainable situation. So we've taken action to identify areas where we can increase efficiency. Now, that was a report came from the Mirror, and this was obviously what was said in the fan forum. So really interesting there. So firstly, they acknowledged the poor start to the season. I think rightly so. Secondly, also kind of given a bit of an excuse around it. Young players settling in. Obviously, we did sign a few players that didn't have pre-seasons, which I don't think has helped. Also, the changes are behind the scenes to the backroom staff being used as like a bit of an excuse, I think, for this poor start. But the interesting one there came from Colette Roach, basically saying that that even though we've got record revenues, which are amongst the highest in Europe, they've still been losing money. So we've been spending more than what we've got coming in, even though we're one of the richest clubs in the world, which just kind of highlights how poorly we have been ran and managed over the kind of Glazer era, to be in a position where we're making record revenue but still losing money, which kind of again stamps home the need for INEOS and everybody to reduce as much as they can. That explains the Ferguson thing, obviously the job losses and bits like that as well. We cannot sustain it, especially with PSR rules and that. Every kind of penny counts going forward now, to help us get us back to where we were. So that's really interesting kind of updates regarding that. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now, let's move on to some transfer news. So, bought news over the last few days. Specifically, yesterday, there was a story coming out linking us with Angel Gomez. Now, the Muppeteers have said that Manchester United aren't looking to sign Angel Gomez in January. He didn't say that we're not necessarily looking at him in the summer, but he doesn't think it'll be a viable option for January. And the Muppeteers is a good source. And he also said United would definitely accept a loan for Anthony. So, again, there was stories, news over the last few weeks, but specifically in yesterday's video brought to you regarding Anthony potentially going out on loan in January. So the Muppeteers confirming that they would definitely accept a loan for him. He also said that the club don't believe there is a viable option for a centre-back in January, and we won't sell a centre-back in January as well. He also said that United are looking at a winger for next summer. That's kind of been widely reported. I think Romano's also, and David Ornstein have both said that we're going to be looking at a forward next summer. But then he also said that Eriksen and Casemiro could leave in January as well. So even though Eriksen's been one of our best players this season, there could be the possibility of him leaving in January. The reason for that is because they're not going to offer him a new contract, and he's out of contract in the summer. So if they get a few £1 million offer for him, it's better for us to sell him in January than let him go for nothing, because we signed him for nothing, and it would be classed as profit from PSR perspective. So that's really interesting. So could potentially, according to the Muppeteers, be a triple exit in January with Anthony going out on loan. If we get an offer for Casemiro, they'd accept it and maybe look to move him on in January. And interestingly, Eriksen as well. So Eriksen is on quite a high wage as well. And obviously with him being out of contract in the summer anyway, if they can get a few £1 million for him, I think they would accept it according to that report as well, which is really, really interesting. Obviously we did let players go though. In January, we would need to sign replacements. The rumours and the links are always linking us with a left back, and also possibly a midfielder. And there's I'll bring you some updates on a couple of young midfielders that we've been linked with as well. But really kind of interesting. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Would you be okay to sell Anthony or loan Anthony? Because I don't think we could permanently sell him. Casemiro and Eriksen potentially in January again. I think it depends on who wants him, especially for Casemiro, because he's on an absolute fortune. And unless the Saudi Pro League come in for him, I can't see anyone in Europe wanting to sign Casemiro unless he's going to take a massive pay cut. And I don't think that's going to happen either. Eriksen I could see as possible, because he's obviously had a good start to the season, and you would imagine that there would be a few clubs interested in potentially taking him. So that one's a viable option I can see, and I can see them wanting to do something with Anthony, because they're paying him 200 grand a week, and effectively he's not playing, not being used, and I don't think they rate him personally. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now let's move on to some of the youth kind of stories. So firstly, it's been said, so this is ESPN Argentina saying that Franco Mastantuono is on the list of 3 17-year-old players that Manchester United have been following for years. Sunderland's Chris Rigg and Rosenborg's Svea Nipan are the other 2 players. Now, these are, I've got like a list I was going to do closer to the January transfer window of players that have been heavily, heavily linked with us. And these 3 are the players that I've got kind of saved as the midfield. Mastantuono, Nipan, Chris Rigg, Hayden Hackney is the other one for the midfield position that we've been kind of linked with a lot. So I do think these are viable targets. The report around Mastantuono is that Real Madrid want him, but United are looking to kind of beat them to signing him in a way that we did with Lenny Yoro. Chris Rigg plays for Sunderland. Again, there's talk of us potentially being interested in him for a while. I think we were interested in him last season as well. And Nipan's a player that we've been linked with for a while as well. So all 3 players are very, very heavily linked with United. Whether we would get all 3, I highly doubt. Whether we would get 1 or 2, who knows? Franco's got a £33 million release clause. Apparently, Chris Rigg is valued around 25 to 30 million pound. That's what Sunderland are going to demand for him, maybe higher, going off recent reports. Nipan would be the cheapest of the options. He's valued at 11 million pounds on transfer market, so would be the cheaper of the 3. But 3 really interesting players. They play similar positions. I think Mastantuono is more of an attacking midfielder, but can play like as an 8. Chris Rigg, box to box, and Nipan, bit of a box to box player as well. So they are similar profile players. So again, it'd be really, really interesting to see who we go for, if we do go for 1, 2, maybe even 3 of them. Who knows? I don't think we've got the money to spend that sort of money on Rigg and Mastantuono, but we could possibly get 1 and then Nipan, because he's not going to be very expensive. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'll bring you any developments if I hear them. So let me so make sure you subscribe for that. Now, just in regards to the other youth players that we've already got, so the majority of the under-21s trained with the senior squad on Tuesday. Wheatley, Amas and Kingdom will be hoping to be involved again on Wednesday, which could point towards their inclusion for the squad for Turkey. The expectation is a handful of youngsters from the under-21s will be included in the squad to face Fenerbahce, and some might make a European squad for the first time in their careers. So there could be potentially a few young players on the bench for the Fenerbahce game. I also thought this as well, because our next Europa League games are actually kind of against more, I don't want to say easier opposition, because no game's easy at the moment, but they're kind of lesser known European teams. So I wonder whether there's an idea where we're bringing the young players through to train this one with maybe giving them a bit of experience, putting them on the bench and stuff, but actually maybe with the idea of giving them some minutes in the next few Europa League games, because that would be handy for us to rotate, considering the fixture pile up that we've got coming up. But that's just my kind of theory on that. But let me know what you think in the comments. And then the young players that we've already got. So Sekou Kone and 7 other youngsters took part in Manchester United's first team training today. There is a chance a few of them could travel to Istanbul tomorrow. So Sekou Kone is amongst one of the players that's been training with the first team. Apparently, they're super impressed with him behind the scenes. I do think, though, they're doing the right thing with him, which is bedding him in, giving him time. They are really, really looking after that after the young players. You know, he's got people to help him out, because obviously they're looking after him in terms of settling into the country and stuff like that as well. But massively exciting player. Be interesting to keep an eye on whether he does travel with the squad. Again, could he be one of those that makes the bench? I highly doubt it, though, because I don't think he's played that many minutes. So, but yeah, definitely exciting that there is like an acknowledgement that Kone's been training with the first team. There's loads of photos online. I don't know if you've seen them as well. So massively exciting there. And then the other young player that we bought through in the summer is Obi Martin. Now, there's a sense among scouts and interested observers of youth football that Chido Obi Martin will be in and around the Manchester United under-21 group, under-21s group in no time at all. Now, that's, you might think that that's not necessarily significant, but he's only 16. So he's 16 years old to be playing in the under-21s. Normally, you'd spend a couple of years in the 18s and then make the transition up to the 21s. But apparently, according to that report, they're super, super impressed with Chido Obi Martin and can see him making that step up quicker than expected. So we could see him playing in the under-21s at some point in time this season, which is massively exciting. So 2 really exciting talents added to the other excited talents we've got in the youth team, because that is the one area that I think United are doing really, really well over recent times, is bringing through the young players, and the academy kind of football is absolutely thriving at the moment. So fair play. But yeah, let me know what you think about all of that in the comments. And then we've had a few more kind of transfer stories that I want to run through with you. So the first one came from not the most credible source, I've got to be honest, Italian outlet, saying that Manchester United sent a representative to Napoli's game against Empoli at the weekend to watch Khvicha, Kvaratskhelia and Alessandro Buongiorno. Now, that would be unbelievable if we looked at Kvaratskhelia. I think he's one of the best kind of wingers, inside forwards, however you kind of phrase him, in the world. That would be an unbelievable kind of signing. The other guy's a centre-half, left-footed centre-half as well, so that's interesting. I've got another update on a defender in a second that I'm going to bring to you. But getting Kvaratskhelia would be amazing. His contract runs out in 2027, though, and he's valued at £80 million on transfer market. Napoli would want way more than that, so you're talking £100 million plus maybe for him, and they're not a team that you can negotiate with. So for that sort of fee, I can't see that happening as much as I would want it to happen, unless you were to sell, Rashford, for example, for maybe like a big fee, 50, 60 million quid or whatever that class is as homegrown profit. Then you'd have the funds maybe to go for him, but I can't see that happening. I as much as I would like it and love it, can't see that one going through personally. But would be a really, really top player to bring in on the kind of wing positions. I can see like City or someone like that going for him potentially if depending on what happens with Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish, etc. Okay, but yeah, I would definitely be all over that, but I just can't see it because of the price personally. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then the other centre half we've been linked with is Lukiba. So Manchester United, Real Madrid and Liverpool were interested in signing RB Leipzig centre-back Castillo Lukiba. He has agreed to extend his Leipzig contract to 2029 and will be highly sought after next summer. That came from Fabrice Hawkins, who was the journalist that was kind of spot on in the summer regarding the Lenny Yoro deal. So clearly connected. So a decent source, I would say. A player that we've been linked with a few times. I think we were linked with him last summer, possibly even last January, as well as one of the kind of left-sided centre-half targets we were looking for in the summer. Obviously, we didn't end up getting one because we went for Euro and got Euro, but then also we were kind of pushing for Branthwaite. Can play at left-back, played a few games there as well. Quick, strong, looks a really, really tidy player. What the kind of feeling is that they, even though he's extended his contract, they've probably negotiated some kind of release clause in it. That's what RB Leipzig kind of do that a lot of the times to protect the value of their assets. Well, they'll give them a new contract. It'll include a release clause, and then they'll let them kind of go. Obviously, if that release clause is met, there could be something in that as well. But definitely an interesting player. I do think we're going to be looking at left-sided centre half going forward as a competition for Martinez. So I think we'd then have Yoro and De Ligt for the right-sided centre-back, and then Martinez and another Branthwaite, Lukiba, someone like that to kind of compete on that side, and he would definitely be an interesting option. No talk of the fee, though, so I'll have to keep my ear to the ground for that and bring you any updates if they come out. But let me know what you think about Lukiba in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding the manager situation. So Manchester United have made contact with Xavi twice in the last few months through intermediaries. A four-man delegation led by Omar Barada flew out to Barcelona last Thursday, although Manchester United sources say that a number of high-level meetings have taken place there recently because Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been there to support the INEOS Britannia sailing team. That came from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail, who is... was quite good in the summer when it came to the Branthwaite deal, but can be a shit stirrer as well. So I would kind of say take that story with a pinch of salt. I think it's just kind of putting two together to maybe stir up the pot a little bit regarding the manager situation. And what would you think about Xavi, though, playing devil's advocate? What would you think about Xavi as a possible replacement for Ten Hag? Maybe they're looking at him as an interim. That could be something, because we know we might be looking at bringing in an interim because the manager that INEOS want is not available until the summer. If they were to make a change, obviously depending on how the season goes. So maybe there could be something in that when we were looking at him maybe to bring him in as a possible interim. I don't necessarily think that's true, but going back to what I was saying, let me know what you think about Xavi in the comments, because I'd be interested to hear your opinions. I don't know if I'd be in the minority with this, but I don't rate him that highly, being honest. I don't. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I wouldn't be against it if it happened, but it wouldn't be my preferred option to come in as manager, being completely truthful. But let me know in the comments, am I in the minority in that? Or do you think, or would you kind of agree that you don't kind of think Xavi would be a good choice as manager? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And let me know what you think about all the other stories discussed in today's video, because that is you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you in the next one.